I'm just about to arrive at the property where the Four Seasons journey is being hosted. Here we go, the beginning of the opening gathering. It'll be lovely to meet all the women there and see the ones I know in the teaching team. Then I'll have to set up my tent and then the circle begins. Sweet little tent all set up. Going into circle now. Here we are in the beautiful space. All the women are arriving. These are all the flags from all the Four Seasons journeys that have happened before, all over the world, ready to begin. Day 2 of the opening gathering, early in the morning. We had a late night last night after cutting out our hides and lacing for the drum and putting them in the creek to soften up overnight and this morning so we can make the drums today. And I went a bit off-piste, shall we say, in making my drum, or cutting it out, because I decided I wanted to do it differently, typical. And I've been lying in bed all morning, half asleep, just trying to imagine, have I done it right? Am I going to be able to lace it, etc.? So we'll see how that goes today. Interesting. Well, I made my drum today at the opening gathering, my 21st drum, and I decided to freeform, and it was a really interesting experience, and I learned a lot. I learned from the kangaroo hide. We did a journey to meet the kangaroo, and I got some very important clues and advice from the kangaroo about just keep on going forward, which is part of the medicine of kangaroos, but was a really pertinent detail for my drum making process. And we brought our own birth imprints to the process, which is the design of this workshop, to use your birth imprint and figure out how to work with it rather than be worked by it, by experiencing a drum making process where your birth imprint plays out. So I spent the night, a late night, after cutting out the hide to bed very late, and I spent the night concerning myself about how I had done the cutting out the hide job, and that I hadn't put enough holes in it because I decided not to use a template and to just freeform. And anyway, overnight I had the worry and wonder of whether it would work. And that's a story. So the wondering and worrying about whether it was going to work based on the amount of holes that I'd put in the hide actually ended up being the part of my creative process that is a replay of what happened when I was being born, because that's the way it works, right? However you're born is the way you birth things. It affects your creativity and lots of other things, but that. So we work with the drum making using that information. And that night of worrying and half sleep was the reenactment of my mother's experience of being given Twilight sleep, which is a very dreadful cocktail of drugs that they used to use in the 1950s, and they don't use it anymore because it's really bad. And the effect it had on the baby is my birth imprint includes a chunk of time, said last night, wondering, of being in some other place, like not on task. It's the drugged birth experience. It's distracting, it's disconnecting, it's discombobulating for however long that lasts. So I got through the how long that lasts, and then with the advice of the kangaroo was how it actually worked. So I didn't have enough holes. My hunches were right, and so I laced the drum up using the holes that I had, and then I had to put heaps more holes in to basically double the holes so that the hide could be pulled tight over the hoop and they make a drum. And the just keep going forward gift from the kangaroo was what enabled me to just keep going forward, making it up as I was going along. And it worked, and it's beautiful. I did an inside-out drum. Never done one of those before. So an inside-out drum is when you make the drum with the inside of the animal on the outside of the drum. So rather than the skin surface, which is what is usual, it's the inside of the animal. And the effect of that is that it represents the inside of the drum maker. So it's the inside of you as opposed to the outside of you, which can be all kinds of things, including vulnerable and therefore opportunity for healing. So I decided to do that. I don't have an inside-out drum, so this is my first. And it's been a beautiful process. And what happens with this drum making is that you develop a relationship with the drum over time, and what arises for you when you make the drum is part of the drum's medicine, part of the vibration embedded in it, its own birth imprint. So the other thing, if I was going to be critical, and if I was unfortunate enough to suffer from perfectionism, then I could be disappointed with my drum. But my mother said to me, and her mother said to her, so I'm going to guess that goes back a long way on my red thread, that when questioning whether something was good enough, okay, passable, or is this as good as it's going to be, so the actual checking of whether something's okay or not. And if it wasn't okay, if it's a little bit dodgy, then the saying was, a blind man on a galloping horse would never notice. So that enables me to look past, away from all manner of imperfections, because a blind man on a galloping horse would never notice. In other words, it doesn't matter. And off to bed now, and tomorrow we debrief about the drum making process and do some drum journeys. In the car now, ready to go home after a lovely opening gathering, special group of women, all medicine women, and it was a good day. More on my drum debriefing later. I'm on my way home now. Big drive. Had an overnight stay with lovely mermaid Ishwari, a teacher in the School of Shamanic Womancraft. It was lovely to land with her. Sleeping overnight, letting everything of the weekend settle. Such a big experience. It was so nice to be on the receiving end. And on the receiving end of a curriculum that I created. So it was incredible. On the last day, yesterday, we did 3 drum journeys to collect, receive, meet our guides and teachers, animal ally, and inner shaman for the journey ahead. And I had an exciting experience with all of those, to be continued on them. Well, home now after that great experience, and had a 10-hour drive to reflect on the processes and the experience and to integrate it in my mind and see what arose through the process of that. And it was really amazing, it's like the circle as shaman, as the circle as medicine woman is what we always say, and we saw that often. I felt that. It was amazing. So it's just so amazing to be on the receiving end of a curriculum that I created, to really drop in and do the processes and have the personal experience of that and the sisterhood experience of that. So it's been great. So the exciting thing that happened at the last part of the opening gathering was the drum journeying. 3 drum journeys in a row, 1 to meet your inner shaman, 1 to meet your animal ally, and 1 to meet your guide or teacher for the journey. And so I had an incredible experience doing those drum journeys, and my team, because that's what that little crew will be for my journey, are pretty amazing. So my inner shaman, last time I did this was a really challenging experience for me, because my inner shaman was a man, and whilst I really could feel the goodness of the medicine of that for me personally, I did have a little bit of a thing about it being a man, but I got over it when I realized the teachings. But this time my inner shaman is a fire witch, and her hair is smoke and her body is flames. And she is my inner shaman who will guide me on this journey, the one I can connect with and refer to for guidance in the shamanic realms, and for me to be able to access the realm of via and through. She is the aspect of me that travels through the realms, so I'm looking forward to that. And my animal ally was a privileged surprise. I have had many animal allies over the years, and one that springs to mind to share is the owl. So Owl was one of my animal allies when I was a home birth midwife, because I could feel Owl travel with me in the night and be with me at births. And so the animal ally that came to me through a process that we all did together for this 4 seasons journey is Eagle. I haven't journeyed with eagle before, although eagle has journeyed around me within my family, and where I live we actually have many a visitation from an eagle flying high above. And so it was a big journey, and I'll talk about that another time, but what an auspicious animal ally. I give great thanks. And then the next part of the inner team for the Four Seasons journey is the guide or teacher. So we travelled to the upper realm to meet being, and journey to meet them was so amazing. And my guide and teacher is Sage. So Sage the herb, Sage the wise old woman, and Sage the wise old man, all joined together as that energy. So that's my guide and teacher. That'll be helpful.